Alright guys, here we are getting started. Alright guys, here we are getting started. Got her on the lift, getting her up. Gonna snatch the wheels off. We're gonna get the wheels pulled off first. We'll go from there. Get all four off. Start inspecting everything, see how everything looks, see what all we're gonna need. I believe I got the spindles over here. Boom, boom, boom. We can get to them. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, right here is our spindles. Or well, there's one. The other one is right over here. There's the spindles, calipers. We're gonna put, that's for the disc brakes. We'll have to get rotors, pads. May have to get calipers as long as they've been setting. But that's why we got her up here on the rack, because we want to do the front first. Get new front brakes on it, get them up, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do with our rear end. We've got a couple different options on the rear end. We're not going to use that one. We've got a 9-inch up there, but we've also got a rear end out of an Explorer. It's 8.8 410 positive traction, I believe, 410 locker. So we may go with it. We ain't decided. We may do like we done the Fox body, put the 9-inch ends on it, put a set of axles in it, and go from there. But let's get the wheels and tires off. Okay, we've got the Mustang up on the short lift and got the front tires and wheels off of it. We're not exactly sure what route we're going with the motor yet, so while we decide on all that, we're definitely going to go ahead and start on the brakes. So we're fixing to pull these drum brakes off, get the spindles, the outer tie rods, brake hoses, all that off out of the way, get everything cleaned up, and then we'll be ready to put our new spindles in. So let's get started on that. You just take that hammer and you smack it. Like that. Just smack it. That's all you gotta do is just smack it. Okay, there's one side off. Got the whole assembly off together. Since I remembered how to take it off, we'll show you how to take off the other side. Okay, here we are on the right side, passenger side. We're gonna take it apart. Try to set the camera up where you can see everything, give you kind of a step-by-step on removing and getting ready to put the new one on. Start out by removing all your Carter keys. The other side was easy. A lot of times you'll get in these things and Carter keys will be in so bad a shape, you'll fight trying to get them things out. People just jam whatever in there. I pull nails out. Sometimes they're even missing, don't even have nothing in there. They'll put the wrong size in there and just drive it in there with a hammer. But when they're put in right, they'll come out easy. Especially if you got a pair of side cutters like this. You just use it and kind of pull them out like pulling a nail out. Alright, now take all your nuts loose, a 3/4 on the tie rod end. And remember, when we're putting our disc brake setup on, we'll replace this outer tie rod end with the one from the disc brake spindle. Lower ball joint. One thing helps is like when we pressure wash this thing under here real good. I mean, it still needs some good cleaning, but we washed a lot of that grease and stuff out of our way. Makes taking a lot of this stuff off a lot easier. Top one. See, these got them broke loose and they're spinning off real good. It's because we cleaned all that grit and grime out of there. A lot of times if you don't do that, it makes these nuts hard to get off all the way off. But you want to make sure you clean them good, because you don't want that ball joint to start spinning up here in the joint, and then you'll never get the nut off. And it goes way over there. Alright, on tie rod end, I like to just take my hammer, knock it loose like that. Then I'll use the pickle fork on the others. But first I gotta get our brake line 7/16. It's been booted up, so I get a flat jaw pair of vice grip where I can clamp on it and not mess it up any worse than it already is. Make sure you get it on the flat spots. My light just went out. Break it loose with it. And then you can get your 7/16 wrench back on it and take it loose. If you can see it up, can't really see it up in there, I don't think. But I'm taking the metal line loose from the rubber hose. Let me get my bucket. You don't want that brake fluid running everywhere, all over where you got to work. Just put that bucket under there to catch it. A lot of times these brake lines are the worst part of the job. You can't hardly get to them. They're usually tight all the way out. And then you got brake fluid leaking everywhere. Now you're going to get your little U-clip, hook onto it. A lot of times you take your vice grips, pull them right out, kind of like pulling a nail out. And a lot of times you have to wrestle with them. Right there is what your little U-clip, that holds your rubber brake hose in the bracket. Hose out of the way, set it down there where anything can run out of it. Now I take my hammer and the pickle fork. Whoops, sorry about that, moved y'all around. I'm gonna get it in here on the bottom one. I'm gonna try and turn it this way where y'all can see it a little better. Get it between your boot, ow, and your spindle. Knock it in there. It'll be kind of hard with the camera. Well, y'all see how I'm going in there with it? I'm going to do that same thing here on the other side. Okay. Kind of turn it where you see that it's loose. See? Got it loose from it. Now we're going to knock our top one out. Same way, between the spindle and the boot. That's been a toughie. Have to get where we can hit on it. And then you miss. Whew. That's tough. Then you kind of push it down. Get it out. So now we got our top one and our bottom one loose. And there it is. Okay, there's our bottom ball joint, top ball joint, upper control arm. There's our hub assembly, brake drum, spindle, everything. We just took it all off as a unit, and we'll put the others on as a unit. Well, Actually, we ain't got the rotors yet, but we'll just put the spindle on. First, we're gonna check out these joints, make sure everything's good. They look good before we took it apart, but we want to double inspect them. Now that we can see them real good, maybe replace the boots, if nothing else, and go from there. Always make sure you put your extra parts, well, not extra, but the parts you're gonna use, the bolts and nuts, and somewhere you can find them together, because they will get lost. There's a clear reason I use this one. Okay, right here's our spindle, the new disc brake one. You can see it's already been cleaned up, painted up nice. Remember, we got to use the tie rod end that came with this one to replace the outer tie rod end right there. We're gonna go ahead and get the spindle mounted up. I cannot remember right off if these come off a Maverick or a Granada, but Alan knows, the guy we got them from, he told us what they come off of. But we'll need to order brake pads and probably need to go ahead and get new calipers. We'll check those out and make sure they're good. If they are good, we'll use them. If not, we may have to order new calipers, but we'll need brake pads. And I'm thinking we're gonna need the little kit to put them on. It may be up there hid in the box. And I think we've got the outer tie rod, but make sure whatever you pull them off of, you get everything. The outer tie rod, all your little parts, and that way you'll have everything to go back together with. But we're gonna start putting this one on. Okay, so we're gonna start putting our disc brake spindle back on. Gotta take the dust shield off because the dust shield gets in the way of putting it on the lower ball joint. So we'll pull it off and then we'll start putting everything back together. You have to pry your lower control arm down. Be careful doing that, you don't want to slip. Get it up in place. Get our upper and lower nut. The lower. And the upper. We'll need to take some emery cloth, some fine sandpaper, and clean all the paint off of where your bearing and seal rides. Make sure all that's good and clean before we put our bearings on it. Of course, we still got to get our bearings and our rotors. Hopefully Alan can get them tomorrow. Yeah, so we'll tighten them down. Get them good and tight. And remember to line your castle nut up where your carter pin can go back through. Feels good, looks good on that one. Stick carter pin back through. Tighten up your top one. side cutters where you can bend the long one back over. Okay, got both of them back on. You can see here, get it where you can see, hold on. Got both of them back on, the Carter pins in them, got them tight. So that's got your upper and lower ball joints. Now remember the tie rod end, and I'm gonna try to show you here, if you can see it. Get it down here. Adjust the camera here where you can see the end real good. See, here's your Mustang one. This is still the Mustang tie rod end. And it's gonna fit. We're not gonna need the, whatever it is, the, I wanna say these are off of Granada. Around 77 through 80 Granada, I think. 72 Maverick. Any of those Fords like that with disc brakes. The spindles usually fit. Sometimes you have to change the tie rod ends. Looks like we're lucky on this one, and the tie rod ends are gonna work. So we'll just put the tie rod end nut on it and tighten them up. Get our cover on. Most of your disc brake setups, when you pull them off a later model vehicle, the tie rod end is too, the Mustang was too big to go up into the spindle. So you have to use the tie rod end off the Maverick or whatever. Now the collar is the same. So both tie rods will fit in the same collar. It's the shaft that goes into the spindle that's different. Like we may have to do some adjusting on the dust cover. You want it to fit up flush and not hit anything. It's trying to hit the lower control arm. Boy, 256 Garage on Instagram is blowing up right now. Thanks everybody for that. The little one where Drake painted my phone video is just taking off on there for some reason. It's got about 15,000 views just this morning. Alright, there it is. Now we'll get this cleaned up, the spindle. We'll get our rotor on, then we'll be ready to put our caliper. I'm gonna go ahead and check those calipers out, make sure they're good. But we are close to getting disc brakes on this Mustang here. Once we get disc brakes on it, then we'll decide exactly what we're gonna do on the rear and go from there. All right, we got us some brake parts for the 70 model. We got inner and outer bearings, brake pads, brake hoses, new rotors. So we're gonna start this morning packing the bearings. Got our high temp grease there. Do it the old fashioned way. I'll carry you along with that while I'll show you how I do it. I don't know, we got a packer over there, but I just soon do it the old fashioned way. You got to load the packer. By the time you load it, you might as well just pack the bearings. So, but anyway, we're going to get started on that today. Hopefully get the rotors on this thing. Alright, I hope everybody can see everything. We got the bearings, rotors all laid out here. Got the high temp grease. Like I said, I'm going to start packing them and show you how I do it. So let's get started. I just like to get me go ahead and get a big thing of grease after my bearings. They've been in plastic all cleaned up, but I blowed them out and everything. But then I just start scooping it in from the big side. You just pack it in there like that, and that grease will push up between those bearings. It takes a little while, but if you just keep packing it, you can see it kind of start coming through. I don't know if you can tell it on the camera there, but if you keep packing it like that, it starts coming through that top between the outside and the inside. And when it comes all the way to the top, that means you got it packed good. And you just keep going all the way around till you get grease between those bearings real good. Give you an idea. I don't really think I had enough grease to go in it anyway, so I'd have had to do it this way. Now this kind of does get your hands to cramping. You use that last bearing, clean all the grease off your fingers. Like I said, it's messy, but it's effective. That's why you keep the old t-shirt rags. I'll get my hammer, knock my seal in. Okay, we got the seals knocked in. Vacuum was running over there, so I didn't say nothing while we was doing it. And then if you see, I took the grease and I packed it up in there and pulled it towards the bearing. That makes sure there's plenty of grease up in there to keep the bearings greased. Now we're going to slide over here and put the rotor on. Sound like we're hitting the backing plate. Well, we're gone. Well, let me check and see what we got going on. Got it.
Running gear, rear end, gas, body panels on.
That kind of sounds like it's rubbing, but I don't see no place where nothing's rubbing. Does that make sense? Put it together and see what we can figure out. Something ain't G hard. Okay, I think I found a problem. I think we had the wrong dust shield on the wrong side. They'll kind of fit either way. But I believe this one goes on here with a little flap like that. Catch that cool air to cool the brakes. Especially this being, you know, the high performance beast it's going to be.
Totally
Do what?
That's totally free.
See there, guys? Talk to the camera and the guy over there.
This kid, I really got my hole on.
That's what we got going over here on that side, so you don't think I'm crazy talking to myself. Froze him up. He don't know what he's doing now.
The camera's pointing at me. Now, what I'm trying to do is mount the shifter in this old junker of mine.
Okay, if you can kind of see here. We got the other side figured out the problem was our dust shields were on the wrong side. That's why it was scrubbing over there. So I took the dust shield off this side and put over on the other side and got it all together. So now that we got it figured out, we're going to show you how to put together this side. It's all how we packed the bearings and got everything, the seals knocked in. So put the dust shield on now. Got everything cleaned up, wiped down. Now I'm gonna get ready to put the rotor on. Okay, we got everything ready. We're gonna slide our rotor on. Like I said, remember, hadn't packed this in yet, so I'm gonna pack some grease up in there. We'll have to get some thinner and stuff to clean this one off real good because it's got a bunch of wrapped plastic that it was in and grease all over it. Anyway, slide her on.
Guess why I'm blind as I be? I'm just trying another while. Be careful sanding up there. If you just go ahead and hand sand that up there with that 800, it'd be a lot. I won't cut through.
So up here?
Yeah, in that narrow spot.
Oh, yeah.
That's likely to cut through on the edge.
I tried to sand the edge, but I was going. Yeah, I ain't gonna sand that. That's what's gonna be against the door.
It's crazy how time goes over here. We was working yesterday and it was 12 o'clock. And you get a bumper cord on the car. This is real on this junker.
In that Jeep?
In this, no, we didn't tear the Jeep down. I worked on this all day. I worked on that and the bumper that showed up, so.
Yeah.
And that boy trying to get that clean from the car. Then once I got tired of cleaning, I went to try and get it. I always was on this car pretty much.
Dust shield's hitting a little bit. Pry it back. Okay, get you a little closer here again. I torque this down pretty tight. Make sure to seat them bearings.
Where's that Jeep van going this week? Somewhere?
Alright, so we get her torqued down and then we back it off, spin it, tighten it down. I just keep working it like that to make sure them bearings are seated good. And then I just kind of snug it. You don't want to get too tight because you don't want to put a lot of pressure on them bearings or to wear them out in a hurry. Then when you get it on, You got your lock.
Get much done here.
Slide your lock on.
Yeah, just went to see the rheumatologist, and he told her he was leaving. He's tired of moving with her.
Got to find where the hole is.
Shoulder checker, wanting to do surgery on.
Like right there's your hole where your Carter key goes through. So you make sure you line that up where the Carter key go through and come out the other side. Put that on. Then you slide your Carter key and bend it over.
That's too much coffee this morning. Made me jump like that. Been shot. I'll just pull that tape loose.
Okay, here we are. We got our caliper clips, so we can start putting our caliper and brake pads on. Show you what we got here. Right here's our brake pads. We got brake best brake pads. Set them up here out of the way. Throw my phone down. Then we got our brake best. This little locking thing that it wedges between the caliper. Got the little band that holds pressure on it, and then you got the little bolt that holds everything in place. I'll try to list description in the description, the part numbers and all that. We're going to try to get our pads in the caliper and all that and get everything up in place, and we'll have get the hose on and have this side buttoned up. Okay, you got your little clip. Goes onto your inner pad like so, and that helps it hold pressure and keeps it in place. Stick it on the bottom, push it in, and then it'll slip in and it'll hold in place right there. Pull this out of the way. Make sure I got you a good view there. Then you got your outer pad. It slides into your caliper like that. The caliper holds it in place. Then get the hose run up through here. Okay, you kind of go in, kind of a tight fit for everything. We may have to push the caliper back a little more. Yep, we're going to caliper's still out just a little bit, so let me find something and we'll find the clamp, push it back, and then we'll be ready to slide it on. Alright, we got the caliper pushed back all the way. Got our outside pad in place, inside pad in place. We went ahead and took the hose off out of our way, so we got to pull it out to screw the new one in anyway. Just slide everything on, put the top goes up under the mount there, and that's what holds it in. Then you take your new piece here, that band goes over the top where the groove's at. You get it up in place. Well, get everything in place, that is. Get it started. Take your hammer, tap it in, make sure everything stays in place. It'll all go in together. Tap it all the way back. And you got to go all the way back till you get that hole centered up, because if you notice, the bolt here has a shoulder on it. That shoulder's got to go inside that U on the clip. Let's see if I can find the other one here and give you a closer view of it. Of course, a lot of you Ford guys already know this, but somebody might not. See how that shoulder fits inside that U right there? That holds everything tight in place. So you got to make sure you get it perfectly lined up. Then when you start that bolt in, and if you notice, your new bolt's got Loctite already on it, so you don't have to Loctite it. Screw it in place. Then we'll get our Allen socket, tighten it up. Alright, calipers on. Got our new brake hose, got our brass washer. It's a Centric, part number 150.61014. Replaces BH36649. Anyway, it just screws straight into the caliper. Easier said than done. Alright, we'll get our wrench, tighten it up. Then the other part just comes up here, slides in the hole, and start your line into it. We're going to tighten this part up before we start our line into it, so hold on. Alright, here it is. We got the caliper on, pads, got the brake hose mounted in there and everything, got the clip in it, everything's secure. This side right here is ready to bleed, so we're going to throw the other side together right quick. Alright, we got new wheel cylinders and we got new brake shoes wherever I set them, right there. So we're just going to go ahead for right now and put the new wheel cylinders and new brake shoes on, replace the brake hose, and use this rear end for right now. And then when we get the other housing, we've actually located another 9-inch housing that'll fit under these Mustangs. We get it in, or if we decide to go with the 8.8 that's in that Ranger out there, then we'll fix them to go up under here. But right now we want to get the brakes up on it so we can get the motor in it and get it going down the road. So I'm going to show you how I put drum brakes on. Now, you can see shoes here. Got 2 different length brake shoes. See if I can get this back some. Anyway, you want to make sure your longest shoe goes to the rear, and that's the one you emergency brake hooks on. Slide it in the hole. Put your little lock clip on. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. It's kind of hard to show that. Anyway, that clip goes on. Kind of hard to show. Hold on. Let me get it on, then I'll show you. That little lock spreads out. Let me zoom in for you. That little lock spreads out. I like to take some side cutters or some pliers, whichever ones I can find. And when I get it on there, squeeze it in. My goodness. Never work right when you're on camera. Oh man. Hold on a minute. Alright, I got it on right there. You slide it through and then you squeeze the clip to keep it from falling back out. That's the way it usually works with it on there. Now I'll just slide it back on. Pull your spring back on the cable. Slide your brake shoe in. Boom, there it is.
There it is.
Not as easy as it sounded. Probably because the camera's on, just like talking.
You recording?
You know what? Go ahead.
No. Won't you be recording?
Well, I was. That's why I said go ahead.
You're making it sound easy for the camera.
Yeah. The camera is making it difficult. Like that other side, I had it together in no time. This side on camera is fighting me. My bad. Well, you got your nail, goes through the back side. And you got one of these goes on. Or you throw it on the floor. Slides on. Then you spring, one goes on the outside of it. They make a tool, I use pliers. Just compress it. Well, now it's going. Slides on and twist a lot. I'm gonna kind of show you a little closer. Like here's your nail. That slides on it and then you twist and it locks it in place where it won't come out. Make sure you got your self-adjuster anchor or swivel, whatever you want to call it. Your holder goes on first, then your cable. spring goes through. If you can see that or not, I don't know. Might need to lower this down some. Make sure your cable stays up there out of the way. Make sure your swivel stays in place. Take a little tool, pull it up on there. Boom. Anyway, that's got the one side set. Make sure everything's in place like it needs to be. Take your arm, goes through this way, hooks into your emergency brake, and that's what works when you pull that cable. It pulls this arm out and makes that push towards the drum, and this one push towards the drum. That's what holds your brakes on. Get your nail through.
Is that what you Google before you start doing videos how to?
What's bad is I've Googled it twice and ain't got it right yet. How to put drum brakes on.com. I need to Google somebody to come and do it because it's about to aggravate me. I ain't never had this much trouble with drum brakes. Well, now most of the time people say, I hate drum brakes. Can't never get them things to go on.
It's like fishing story. I caught a real big fish. Well, then if somebody else is there, you know, you just tell the truth about it.
Yeah, you can't never, or when somebody's around, you never catch fish, but you all the time catch them when you're by yourself.
Yeah. Same way with this brake. When nobody's watching like a camera. Oh, it's easy.
They're easy to put on it. Hooks in the hole. Take your little tool.
I couldn't put them to helping me wash that Corvette game, but
Now, hook your self-adjuster into your spring. And you got your spring. It runs from this side. Hooks into the other side that the same side as the cable hooks to. And that's what works your self-adjuster. And it hooks in the hole on the brake shoe. Make sure it's hooked in. And then push your cable around. May have to get you a screwdriver. See if I can move this so you can see it a little better. Like, push this up down here. We're going to put that cable around. Well, it came unhooked. I'm going to have to get the camera out of the way, hook it up, and then I'll show you. Okay, let me kind of show you everything now that you can see. I'm out of the way. Let me get a light here to help. Okay, you can see your spring hooked up. Everything's in place. Self-adjuster. See how all that's hooked up? Everything's together. Now we'll slide the drum on. We'll adjust these brakes out just enough for the drum to slide on. Then when we get a brake hose, we'll be ready to bleed the brakes out, and we'll have brakes on this thing. Ah, yes. What do we have here? Yep. Different rear end, different brakes. Nope. The rear end we had for this thing ended up not being what we thought it was when we got it picked up. It ended up being just a 9-inch housing for a Ford truck. So just to get the thing rolling quicker, we decided to go ahead and replace the brakes on the back and just use the rear end we got for right now. Let me walk over here to the other side.